Yeah, no, you talked about some of the things I'm going to talk about too. And so, who am I? I'm Eric Haines. I work for Autodesk, which is a computer-aided design firm, but do computer graphics software for a living. But this was a hobby. This is, I looked it up actually. When did I first play Minecraft? It was, I just passed my 6th-year anniversary. It was 6 years, 2 days ago. But you know, and I would do crazy things like this. Like this was actually handmade. I used a friend's program. We had our own little private server. We were all total addicts, computer graphics nerds, and mechanical engineers, and so on. Had our own little thing, and so we would just build crazy stuff for each other. So I put down the 17,614 blocks in this, but who's counting? For this model, and I used a program that basically took a model and gave slices and told you where to put the blocks. I'm not that creative or anything. But eventually I took the 12-step program and I'm clean now, and I don't obsess over Minecraft, but I love it. I mean, really, great 2 years of doing way too much Minecraft. But then I wanted to give back to the community. I'd seen all these people do mods, I'd seen all these people do cool textures and all kinds of great stuff. And I'm like, well, what can I do? Well, I know about 3D printing a little bit, I know about exporting image models. So I went ahead and wrote this program called MineWays, just for the fun of it. It's a total hobby, it's free, it's open source, all that kind of good stuff. I'm not making it just the opposite. My wife will attest that we have way too many horizontal surfaces in our house that have things on there. But I was the person who invented this idea. Originally, some guys at MIT, 2 students there, they did it, I think 2011 in May, did a little sort of demo program. They put some blocks up in their world, and then they had a Python script that would read through and find all the models, and then they printed it in a printer at the lab there. But they didn't really carry it on further, and I got excited in the summer because this company, Shapeways, which has been mentioned, started to offer these color prints. And that was like, oh wow, I can do that. And so I wrote MineWays, and again, based on an open source program called Minotaur by Sean Kaysen, I think his name is. And that gave me a big leg up on doing all this user interface. And so it took me about 5 weeks before Christmas to do this thing. And basically we released it Christmas Eve and put it on Reddit Christmas Eve, and we got a Christmas Eve service, and my boys looked on Reddit and were like, Dad, 1,200 upvotes, and I'm, oh yeah, all right, success. So that sort of was a wonderful launch. So this is just showing this print, and I'll talk about the process in a second, but this was one of the first prints, and the blocks here are just pure color. Since then I've gotten kind of crazy at going, adding texture packs and or resource packs and so on. So this is the process in a nutshell. It's really honestly a very easy program to use. You pick one of your worlds, you can zoom in with the mouse wheel, you scroll around. There's the tower that I want to export, so I just select the area, and the little dialog comes up, you can read it, but basically you say yes. And then you export, you pick some file name, and you hit OK. The scary dialog comes up, ignore the scary dialog, just hit OK and you'll be fine 99% of the time. You get this model out, you can then preview it in a program. This program's called G3D, and I linked to it from the site. It was actually, in fact, written by one of the players in our world, who's a professor at Williams and does consulting and whatnot. And it gives a very nice rendering of these Minecraft models, since I keep bugging them for new features. So the other thing that you can do, though, is send it to the printing, send it for a printing format. And that does a little bit different kind of thing, but again, it gives you this model that you can then preview in various programs. So here I'm using this one called Meshlab, again, another free program. You'll notice here what's interesting is when you zoom in, things like the torches are not torches anymore. They're very tiny there, but they're just kind of flattened out against the walls. And that's because, like a lot of 3D printers, they really can't do fine detail without breaking off or snapping or something. So I try to sort of just go for pure blocks at its simplest when I export, so that it's not really fine featured that will have problems really printing. And that's really it in a nutshell. You get these files out and you either just send them to your home printer, or you can upload them to various printing surfaces, which I'll talk about a little later. So these are some of the examples. This was, if you look closely, you can see it's Minecraft Alpha. We were way back in the days when you couldn't even die. It's kind of fun. But anyway, so this is another one by the guy who did the Eiffel Tower. He did a Sentinel Castle, and we had that printed out. Another one I just found on Planet Minecraft. I love this world in a bowl. It sort of it's like Minecraft in a little, capsule. It's just like, this land and the trees and the water and so on, and very small little kind of print, very nice. So some of the things that the printing software actually does for you is, well, for example, Douglas showed a model earlier of the Eiffel Tower, that they had a very elaborate Eiffel Tower. But if you look closely at that model, a lot of the blocks were just connected by edges, so that if in the real world you built something that was only connected by edges, it would just fall into a bunch of separate blocks, right? So what the program does is it tries to find those kinds of cases and puts the blocks there for you. Or what you can do is turn off that feature and just say, no, just check for me if this model's okay. And it'll tell you, oh wait, there's two disconnected parts somewhere in your model, and it'll give you a debug mode to let you go look at the model in different colors and see where the disconnect can happen, so that you can go in and add more blocks to make your model nice and solid and not, not going to fall apart. The other kinds of things it does is hollow out the bottom of the model. Like, so it'll sort of say, oh, this is all stuff. Well, it's all blocks, but I'm only going to really see the outside of this model. You don't have to print the whole model. You just want to print the outside for some of this. So it'll hollow it out. And this was a huge deal to me. I first exported this model with colors, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And I uploaded it to Shapeways, and I went, $68? Not the price point I wanted. And so I found that by adding this hollowing algorithm, it came down to like $20 odd. And I was like, okay, shoot, this project's not doomed for me. It won't totally destroy my budget. But it turns out also for 3D printers at home, commercial, like the sort of library printer or the homeschool printer, where you're using a single color, you really kind of want to have that filled in. So there's, again, sort of options that will actually fill in the building for you and make it nice and solid so that you don't have problems with really thin walls. So anyway, there's a bunch of features. You kind of have to know what your printer's doing is the takeaway here. I lucked out where I live in Boston. I live near this makerspace, fantastic, huge makerspace called Artisans Asylum. And it turns out one of the guys who actually designed and developed these color printers also was there. I ran across one of his printers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to you. He kindly surprised me with the image of our spawn. So this is actually our spawn, and where a bunch of our buildings, this station is our train station with 14 tracks and all that kind of stuff. It's a great model, and I uploaded it to Shapeways just on a goof, like, oh, no one will ever print this because it's $600. It's just a crazy amount of money. So I got surprised by this, and it's wonderful, but I never expect to see models this large again in my lifetime. What I do is I tend to print these small things. What my mantra is, smaller is cuter, is cheaper, is cooler. 3D printing is mostly based on the cost of the material, and so complexity, making really complex, cool, colorful things, that's all free. All the painting's free, all the complexity's free. It's just the weight of the material, it's the weight of the model. So if you build a block, or if you build some elaborate, sculpture, they're the same price if they're the same number of blocks. So I encourage people to really try to build cool little models and then print those. These are like, I forget, like $11 each or something. Not very much, and they're very small, but they're super cool because they're so tiny. You see all this detail. So these are just a number of models on the gallery of mine. If you don't deal with the subject at all, walking out of here, you're like, no, I'm done with that. No, I know. If nothing else, it behooves you to go to mineways.com and look for the gallery, just to see some of the models there, because it's just cool what people have done. People have also done interesting things, like the guy who did the dice down there with the little various marks. He's also made like Braille, which I thought was really clever, a very clever educational, useful kind of thing. Is that he, it's just like, oh, I'll build Braille and print it out, and it's perfectly readable as well. This is just another cool project that, and I wanted to sort of mention it because it breaks in Lego. Lego is another classic way to make a virtual real. You take your Minecraft model and you reproduce it in Lego. This I thought was just kind of cool, where he took this falling water Lego model and he turned it into a sort of Minecraft version of a Lego version of the real falling water, and then printed it out. And this is the other project I wanted to mention, just because it's so crazy big, is this guy Ben Rothman, who is a sophomore at Northwestern. He basically started to make his campus in Minecraft a bunch of years ago. And so he made this engineering center, and he went to the dean of engineering actually and said, hey, gee, I hear you have a printer in the basement, what's up with that? They printed it out, and the dean basically said, well, you're building more of the campus? Well, what would it cost us? And basically the dean gave him a $2,000 grant for materials. He had to do all the printing himself. And he came up with this thing, which is about 2/3 of Northwestern's campus. And yeah, it's just incredible. It's about 42 prints, and he did a lot of world edit and so on. But the campus is really detailed. I think that he left out some dorms, which were kind of boring buildings, but all the campus is there. And the other fun piece of it is that they actually then built a big box, put it in the engineering center in the lobby. That's his mom checking out the box. He was actually just to give you an idea of your parents' take heart is that he you go, well, okay, so he spent what, like 8 months building this model while he's a sophomore at Northwestern. So what's is he flipping burgers now? No, he actually got an internship with Google that summer, so he can do both. Anyway, it's possible. So the interesting thing here is just the $2,000 thing I wanted to mention is, well, gee, that's nice that it was $2,000, but the case is actually $2,500 for a carpenter to build it. So you got to put it in perspective. It depends on your goals. The other thing I wanted to point out was something that Douglas has mentioned is that you don't have to have a 3D printer. I don't have a 3D printer. I'm actually kind of tempted by the one downstairs for $350. That was getting to my price point. But I tend to do like Shapeways or Sculpteo or one of these other firms. You can just upload and give me a credit card and say go, and you can get these very high quality models that can give you just a nice finish and you can get color and so on. So you're using a $70,000 printer that you're never going to afford normally. This one I wanted to also just mention, just because it's sort of a shout out. It's done by a number of people who built this world in Spain, and then they rendered it with software. They all work at the same company, Solid Angle. And Solid Angle is a little startup which actually just got recently acquired by Autodesk, which is great. Because I've known these guys for years, and what they've done is their renderer is actually used in most major motion, I would say about half the major motion pictures for special effects right now, for rendering those. All of Sony ImageWorks has used it for years and years. So what's cool about this, the sort of synchronicity or something, is that the guy who's actually founded the company is in Los Angeles right now. He's trying to get his program's up for an Academy Award, an Oscar. It's in the technical merit. You'll never see him on the TV show, but there's a bunch of technical merit Oscars that they hand out. So he's certainly petitioning the committee and talking about what he's done and so on. So I just thought it was cool. It's like, this Haines renderer is actually doing Minecraft renders. The other thing I wanted to just show is this little thing. Let's see, how did I video should be showing something? Maybe this one didn't get video. Okay, well, oh no, that's okay, that's okay. Well, maybe that's a plus. I wanted to stay on that. Hopefully it'll stay there. Okay, good. What you can do right now is put this in your smartphone, and that, maybe better than a video. That'll be the surprise. If you put this little bit.ly/my-hopper in your smartphone, and you do it in the smartphone, and get good internet connection, all those things, fingers crossed, you'll get this model up, and it'll spin around, and you can interact with it. You can move your finger and so on. And so it's cool. It's just a fun thing. Sketchfab, I highly recommend it. They actually did all the integration. They added to my source to just allow you to directly go from Mindlaze into Sketchfab and just put your models up there. It's totally free. Mindlaze is free. Sketchfab's free for an account. You just can get your models up. You can annotate them. You can actually go to places and say, here's the king's throne. And, here's where the water comes in, or whatever. You can make your model and make tours, basically. So they've had a lot of fun with that. In fact, I think they just announced, I'm not a show for Sketchfab. I really have nothing to do with them, but they just had a contest actually of putting models up and annotating them. Some Minecraft mystery contest or something. Anyway, go look